with. If someone says it's too expensive, mate, absolutely it's too expensive. You know what? You remind me of this client from 2024. They said it was too expensive. They didn't want to invest another dollar into marketing or sales help. Quite frankly, they'd spent $10,000 on 3 solutions in 6 months. They felt scammed. They felt burned from everything. But you know what? They said, whatever got me to the level that I'm at today isn't going to get me to the level I want to get to tomorrow. Shift worldview. As soon as you tell a story, you immediately start to move the dial of a worldview at the end of the story. There's something called the hero story. If you look at most Disney stories, what happens is there's a present reality, right? So let's just say, what's a popular movie? The Incredibles. Family man, enjoying his time with his wife and his kids. Frozone's his guy, they're vibing. Chaos happens. So there's a present reality gets interrupted. And the interruption causes a new reality to emerge. And they have to use new traits to then create a better reality than the movie started at. Shift the worldview. After you shift the worldview, you say, look, by the way, this is what happened for this client. Do you think you offer an invitation? Do you think that if you do the same thing that's getting you to where you are today, that you could not get to a new level? Yeah, you're right. Well, I can't keep using the same solution because I've been stuck at 100K a month for 2 years. And, money is getting cheaper in this country and labor costs are going up. Okay, so then would it make sense to do something new? Well, I guess it would make sense. You want to always offer an invitation, not tell someone what to do. It's like if you go to a club, right? Or let's use dating, because it seems like a lot of you are single in this call, unless you're not telling me if you're in a relationship. If the person that you're attracted to likes you and they're inviting you out, you kind of feel like, oh, wow, like I must be pretty attractive. Like I must be really cool. Like they must really like my vibe. I can't wait to go. But if you feel like you're constantly chasing their validation, they can smell that, right? There's something called mimetic desire. We are attracted to things other people like. So if you're trying to get someone's respect, gain someone's status, well, it repels them. So when you're giving someone the opportunity to buy into a new worldview, you invite them to the club. You invite them to a new paradigm. You never force them. Because humans love autonomy. Humans will suffer through perceived autonomy, then flourish through lack of perceived autonomy. Ironic. So that's our 4-step framework. And I'm going to show you the 3 types of storytelling that we've seen tends to work very, very well. But let's go step by step. So agreement in sales, I completely agree. Why you'd hesitate? Most clients feel the exact same way. In leadership, it looks like, you know what, you're right. That deadline is tight. Let's find the smartest way through it together. In negotiation, look, we both want a deal that works long-term. Let's build from here. In relationships, I hear you. That does sound frustrating. Frankly, I felt that way too. So step 1 is agree. Everyone knows that part. Now, step 2, is storytelling. So this is where there's layers. And I'd say this is probably the most important part of this discussion that we'll have, and then I'll open up Q&A and we'll do some role play. There's 3 main types of storytelling that we find converts people. There's the personal, so this is like an anecdotal story. 2 is similar identity. Then 3 is hypothetical, right? So let's start with the first one. So let's use a client. Actually, let's move it away from a client. Let's just say I wanted Subway cookies. Who's heard of Subway? Thumbs up if you guys have heard of Subway, the brand. I know most of you have. So if you haven't given me a thumbs up, that means you're not locked in with me. Who's been to Subway before? No one's been to Subway. Okay, tough crowd. Cool. I've been to Subway. Cool.
Back and thumb.
Oh, that's so good. So if I wanted to get more Subway cookies, I used to do this when I was learning, because I've done multiple sales jobs. I worked as a sales assistant at YG. I've been in multi-level marketing schemes. I've been to America. I've tried 15 different sales jobs, right? Corporate sales, etc. Real estate. So say I wanted an extra cookie at Subway. They're like, mate, you know what? It's 6 cookies for $6. I'd say, you know what? I completely agree. Step one. Step two, you know what? There was a friend of mine. He came to this Subway last week. He was really hungry and he only had $5. And he did not get the chance because he finished his university exam. He then had to hit the gym. His girlfriend broke up with him. He was sobbing. It was also raining, freaking Melbourne weather. And he told one of your staff members his story. And all he could ask for to brighten up his day was just one extra cookie with a $5 bill. Now, I'm not saying that you should do that for me. I'm just saying I love the candor and the gratitude and the service that you guys have here. So I just wanted to bring to light that perhaps you could give me the same service as well. Storytelling, personal identity. Now, similar identity, if we turn that to a client situation, is, you know what? Yeah, look, this is super expensive for you. So let's just say they're a junk removal business. John, you know what? $5,000 a month for a marketing and sales team, mate, that's freaking expensive. By the way, Jim's junk removal thought the exact same thing. He was stuck at $70K a month for 3 months. He had an in-house BDM, on and off with sales, wasn't consistent. But he's like, you know what? Screw it. I'll take a risk. I'll see what happens. And then after a year later, he went from $70K a month to 2 locations. Now he's pushing $150K a month, cash collected. You always want to use a similar identity. So personal is most powerful because that's a human to human. Similar identity is great. Now, the third least effective one, but the third one, which is great, especially if you're an entrepreneur that has, let's just say, no momentum. So when I had 0 clients when I was 18, 19, just before COVID, what I could do is I could just create an A and B scenario. So what I would do is this, and I still do this today. Say you're an NDIS provider, right? So John, look, you have 0 clients at the moment. Is that correct? Okay, great. And you're in Darwin, right? Darwin's a tough market, especially if you're not an Indigenous Australian, right? Got it. Okay. So let's look at 2 scenarios. Scenario A, you don't hire me. In fact, you don't hire anybody. Would it be fair to assume that you probably be somewhere around where you are today? Because you've been stuck at 0 participants for two years. Maybe you'll get to 2 participants. Would that be a fair assumption? I mean, yeah, Dame, if I work hard, maybe 3. Let's call it 4. Amazing. Okay, cool. Now let's say option B. You hire us, you hire someone else. You just test something. Let's use a worst case scenario. For the first 6 months, failure. You're at 0 participants. But now you know what doesn't work. So by month 7, you get 2. By month 10, you get 5. A year later, in total, you're at 20. Which scenario do you think is better to worth risking? Scenario A or scenario B? Guys, hypothetical scenarios, I'm telling you, we have recorded hundreds of sales calls. If you don't have case studies, or if someone's on the hedge, hypotheticals are very, very powerful, right? And they still give you control because you're actually letting them, again, choose, especially if you don't have leverage or you don't have case studies. And that works for any particularly service-based businesses. Even if you go to e-commerce websites, we have one 8-figure e-commerce client of ours, and they, on their site, just have constant comparison tables. Our product, competitor's product. The face, before and after. Guys, they're just basically doing hypothetical scenarios or similar identity or a personal story. What's the example of their personal story? A client's personal review. When I first used this product, I was skeptical. We've all seen this before in Reddit. Now, some of them are butted, if we're being honest. Like some of those will use fake. But we're service business owners. If you do fraudulent stuff, Google will eventually find out. So don't do that. My recommendation, up to you guys. But it's the same psychology. These 3 storytelling frameworks, if you can teach them to your salespeople or your cold callers, I can assure you it will work, assuming that you track them. So that's step 2. Those are the main storytelling frameworks that we like to use. Step 3, I've already touched on that one a little bit. Step 3 and step 4, shift worldview. Help someone see a better explanation for their situation. You're never arguing with them, especially as Aussies. I think majority of the people in this call either work for Australian clients or have Australian businesses, from what I can see. We have tall poppy syndrome here. Like, don't push us too far. Americans is a bit different. Americans, you can kind of be like, Is that fair enough? Like you can hammer say, and it's still, but they have to feel like they're picking on their own accord. So once you reveal the inconsistency in their current view, you check in with them. Okay, so again, let's use the cookie thing. So yeah, this friend of mine, $5, da, da, da. All I'm asking for is if you can share some sort of grace as well with myself. Mate, I'd love to, but it's company policy. I love that it's company policy because that means you're someone that abides behind the books. And that means you're also a good person because you're trying to do what's best for the boss and your manager so you don't get in trouble. And because I respect, oh, can someone put their thing on mute? Okay, so you can, no worries, all good. So that's why all I can ask of you is if you can extend your humanity to me, because I'm sure that there's been a period in your life where maybe you couldn't afford lunch, you couldn't afford dinner. Has that ever happened to you before? Yes, it has.
No,
Boom. It's that slight check-in. It's that slight check-in that actually builds momentum. Now, we've heard of yes ladders. And if you guys have read CIA or FBI negotiation by people like Chris Voss, they'll talk about actually getting someone to say no before they say a yes. Because again, like I said at the start, humans love perceived autonomy. We want to feel like we're in control. So if you can get them to say no, yes, I don't want to upset my manager. And then after they say no, you accept it. And then you ask them, has there been a time where you've struggled to afford something? Yeah, I have. Now we're starting to expand their worldview. Look, all I can do is this. If possible, just like how if I was in your shoes, I would give you those 7 cookies. Can we just make this a one-time thing? And can you do this for me as well? Is that fair enough? Okay, man. That's how you do it. You invite them. You never flinch at the no, but you have to follow the sequence of I agree at all times. I'm never in disagreement with you. We're always aligned. Because we're so aligned, can I tell you a story? Story of one of the 3 types: anecdotal, similar identity, hypothetical. If you were in my shoes, I think we can agree that you've been in a similar thing before. Has that happened to you before? Open up their worldview. I'd invite you to make a human decision. Is that fair enough? Boom! Never force, only invite. Nobody should feel pressured. The decision should feel like their own idea. Patience is the most underrated skill. When I was in corporate sales, I used to work for I usually don't name drop the company, but it's okay. It's a webinar, not like a Friday live Instagram call. I used to work for Podium, which was the second fastest growing tech company after Slack in 2021. I was 21 years old at the time. My agency, a year and a half before that, just got featured in the paper in West Melbourne, Wyndham TV, right? And then COVID happened, so I lost my whole business. I made the proverbial 10K a month. I was like, okay, cool, I'm 20, I'm doing 10K a month, lost the whole business, humbled me, started working at Podium. My biggest weakness wasn't that I couldn't close, it's that I would talk too fast. Perhaps I still do, right? But it was the lack of patience that would lead to inconsistent influence. Because sometimes I'll just hit the right modalities and steps and it will get done. But I can promise you, if you can actually practice step 1, step 2, step 3, step 4, step 1, step 2, step 3, step 4, agree, storytell, worldview, invite.